In this video, Luke Skywalker, along with a handful of rebel sympathizers, follow the intel of a rogue Mandalorian soldier as they break into an Imperial starship with the hope of absconding with an R7 droid. The droid carries vital information regarding the location of a secret Imperial weapons factory that proves invaluable to the rebel cause. As they attempt to make their escape with the TIE fighters in the bay, they are cut off by Darth Vader and a squad of stormtroopers. Yes, we are playing a modified version of the Star Wars miniatures game by Wizards of the Coast. Hello gamers, Matthew here from Grey Army Gaming in lovely Furgalund, Sweden. What you see before you is our setup for this special Star Wars miniature scenario that we are calling Droid Extraction. The battlefield that we have set up is something like the inside of an Imperial Star Destroyer, just outside of the bays where you have the TIE fighters resting and prepared for flight. The rules for this scenario will be pretty simple. The rebels, along with the Mandalorian soldier who was able to get them onto this ship because of his prior knowledge of it, will begin here on this door in the southwestern corner of the battlefield. And they have to now successfully make their way through the floor over to the TIE fighter, where one of them has to be able to get into the TIE fighter and be able to pilot away the R7 droid to safety. At the same time, however, Darth Vader and his stormtroopers have been alerted to their presence, and they come pouring out of this eastern door, this eastern tunnel, onto the battlefield to try to prevent the rebels from getting away, from extracting the droid from the Star Destroyer. With respect to movement and measuring, we will be using the grid system provided by these dungeon tiles. However, there may be times and cases that we need to use a measuring stick. In that case, we will simply measure out inches. Well, with that brief overview now, we can go ahead and show you the setup, the deployment, and the characters that will be involved in this battle. In our southwest corner now, we have Luke Skywalker leading the charge, and next to him is the guide for this mission, which is the Mandalorian soldier. Behind them, we have three Wookie rebel sympathizers. We have a Wookie soldier, a Wookie scout, and a Wookie berserker. Behind those three, we also have three elite rebel troopers, and behind them, two rebel pilots with R7. Now, R7 will stick with the rebel pilots as long as they are alive, and if they are killed, R7 will move to follow the elite troopers, and if they are killed, up to the Wookiees, so on and so forth, finally coming to the Mandalorian soldier as the last person that it remains with. The group to start out with is rather bunched up because they just came pouring out of this door, but hopefully when they have their first turn, they will be able to spread out a little bit more on the battlefield. Funneling out of the eastern door into this area now is Darth Vader in the center, and he is flanked to his right by a shock trooper and to his left by a stormtrooper officer. Behind them we have four additional stormtroopers. So there you have it, Rebel versus Empire, as the larger group of rebels goes up against a quite powerful group of Imperial soldiers. We'll see what happens now as they pour out of these doors and into the center of the battlefield as the rebels try to make their way to the TIE fighter and escape the Star Destroyer. Rolling for initiative now, the rebels have the green dice and the Empire have the blue. Natural 20 to the rebels. Let's start out our rebel turn by taking Luke and the Mandalorian, just running them up here and getting them cover behind these boxes. Alright, let's move right to the big gun and get Darth Vader to run up for some cover there, his 12 inches. In addition, let's bring up our shock trooper and give him some cover behind those boxes. Back to the rebels now. I like the idea of sending our Wookiees up through that small corridor. Let's have them run up there. Nicely clogging up that hallway now. Back to our stormtroopers now. I think it's in our best interest to keep the stormtroopers as close as possible to their officer because he gives them an advantage. So let's move the officer up and then have one of the stormtroopers follow him. Let's have the rebels continue to spread out and fortify their line there, starting with the Wookie and then one of those elite troopers. The rebels are looking pretty good as they start to fan out across this board. Stormtroopers still don't have any clean shots, so they're going to move up, run up, and try to join their officer. And let's run up a couple more of our troopers here. And the last of all for the Empire, I'm going to actually run this guy up right here and hide him behind this wall. So he still has cover in this corridor. We're going to see what happens if we split up our stormtroopers and maybe we can come around the side. And final activations, let's have those rebel pilots followed by R7 just run up and get some cover behind the corridor, the walls there. So here's how things look at the moment. The rebels have begun to move their way up, holding up in something of a block though here, and the stormtroopers following Darth Vader, trying to cut off the pathway to the TIE fighter. We have an important initiative roll here. Let's see who gets to start off round 2. And a 9-1, it will be the Empire leading us off in our second round. Empire turn. First off, let's have our officer run up here. Over up to this side, and he will get an unobstructed shot onto Luke Skywalker. +8 to the attack, needing to show a 9+. And it's a 9. That would be 10 points of damage to Luke Skywalker. And that will bring Luke down to 30. Second, we'll have a stormtrooper follow the officer and take a shot on Luke as well. So shooting from here over to here, and usually we hit with a +4, but we have a +3 because of the officer, so hitting on a 10+. And it's a 19! Luke Skywalker takes 10 more damage, dropping him down to 20. In response to the rebels, let's activate Luke and actually put him under some cover here, where he can take off a shot back on that main stormtrooper there. On second thought, let's go after the officer here instead. Needing to show an 11+. Yes, a 16, 20 points of damage, bringing him down to 10. Second activation for the rebels. Let's have our elite trooper come in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll put him right here with his movement, giving him a shot off on that officer. An 11+ will be enough to kill him, take him out of commission, and it's a 2. It's a miss. Time for the big guns to come out now. We're going to have this shock trooper take a couple steps here out into the open. He's got a shot on him. Luke Skywalker is adjacent to him, so he's going to roll out now. According to the rules for missiles now, we don't have to take an actual attack roll here, but they have to get a save of 11 or take 30 damage. So let's start out with our elite trooper here. Save of an 11. 3. 30 damage knocks out our elite trooper. Only a total of 20 hit points. So our elite trooper is gone. Luke Skywalker now has to make a save of 11+, or he will also be knocked out of the game. Huge roll here. Moment of reckoning. 11+. Yes, 19. So Luke saves. Luke miraculously being able to jump out of the way of the flames, saving that damage, and he will go on to shoot another day. Let's go ahead and move up another one of our stormtroopers into range for shooting. Taking a shot now from here on to Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker has partial cover. With a bonus from our officer, we need to show a 14. 12, that's a miss. Rebel turn now. We have to do something about that shock trooper. Let's move up our Wookiee scout and take a shot at him. Needing to show an 11+. Here we go. And it's a 12. It's a hit. And with that, we drop the shock trooper down to 10 hit points. So even though he is super strong, he is still vulnerable when it comes to being damaged. All right, let's keep that momentum going with the shock trooper. And let's move this elite guard up here. No regard for life, putting himself in harm's way. He's going to take a shot off on that shock trooper. A shot from here over to here, and we need to show a 9. And it's an 11, so it will be a successful hit. That shock trooper is gone. Back to the Empire. We're going to have our stormtrooper run down this corridor. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take a shot off on the scout. Needing to show a 9. And it's an 8, it misses. And activating another stormtrooper here. Let's take a shot off here on the elite soldier here. Usually +4, but +7 because of our officers, so we need to show a 6. And it's an 8, so that will be a hit. Rebel activation. Let's get our fighter here to get back in and take some shots off. Shooting from here onto the officer right here. And 11+ will take him out. And it's a 4, it's a miss. Second activation. Now let's run our Mandalorian up here and get a shot off. Needing a 10+ here. And it's an 8, that's a miss. For the Empire's final activation, we're going to have Darth Vader now activate and see if he can run over into here and start doing some massive damage. Now that he has a line of sight, Vader is going to do force grip on this elite soldier here in the front, doing 10 points of damage, enough to take him out of commission. The remaining activations belong to the Rebellion. Let's start with this Wookie down here and run him up 12. Next, let's have this Wookie right here throw himself into harm's way and try and block some of these attackers. Final position there in showdown with Darth Vader. And finally, let's try to run our pilots up the side. And here are how things sit now at the end of this round. We've got a big pile of fighting in the middle of the board with the 2 pilots running up the side. The question is now, who's going to get initiative for the next round? And initiative goes to the Empire. Let's start off by activating Vader and get him to run over here to cut off the escape route. But, of course, that means the Wookiee here gets an attack of opportunity. Needing to show a 16. And it's a natural 1 miss. Second, let's run our officer up there as well. Alright, Rebel turn. Let's activate the Wookiees. It's Wookiee time here. Berserker attacking the Stormtrooper. We need a 6+. 15, that's a hit. And more than enough damage to take him out. Next Wookiee here. And attacking the Stormtrooper. Needing a 7+. And a 17, that's enough. He's out. Final 2 Empire activations. Let's start with this guy right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's going to go ahead and take a shot off over onto this elite trooper there. Needing a 9. And it's a 6, miss. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we will take a shot on the same guy there as well. Also a 9. 18. It is a hit. 10 points of damage, bringing him down to 10. Rebel activation here. Let's have this Wookiee turn around and attack this Stormtrooper right here. 10+. It's a 9, so he misses. Second, let's activate our Mandalorian here, and he's not going to move, so that means he gets Deadeye, +10 damage, and 2 attacks. Let's take our first attack here on this Stormtrooper. 8 to hit, and it's a 7 miss. Second attack over here on this guy. Same thing, we need an 8 to hit, and a 4. 2 misses in a row. Pshoo, pshoo, flies right over the shoulders. And the rest of the activations now belong to the Rebel team. Let's run our elite trooper in there and charge into the Stormtrooper. Hitting on a 9. 13. Let's get Luke in there shooting a few shots too. +9. Critical 1. And finally now we have the Rebel pilots. I don't want to get them over. They're too close to Darth Vader, so we'll just run them up to the very edge of the corridor. And that brings us to the end of this round. Things are looking good for the Rebels, but we need to roll initiative. And it will be the Empire with an 18 to a 17. First activation, let's have the officer block off that corridor. Second, let's continue this combat right here. 8+ on the Wookiee. That's a 15. 10 points of damage drops the Wookiee to 20. The Wookiee now will activate him and have him attack right away back. 10+. It's a 14. Not much for the Rebels left to do now, but charge into Darth Vader. And the Wookiee Scout taking a shot off on Darth Vader. 17+. And an 11 is not going to be enough. Vader activating and spending a force point to do the grip on the Wookiee, dropping him 10 points down to 20 hit points. The rest of the activations are now simply going to go to the Rebels. We'll just leave the Berserker there and let him charge in next round. Let's move that elite trooper. Taking a shot from here onto Darth Vader. 15+. 14, it's a miss. Let's go ahead and run the Mandalorian. Luke can follow the same direction. Pilot stepping out to make room for the next one and taking a shot. Needing an 11 to finish off the officer. And it's a natural one. Let's have the second one step in there and also take a shot. Around the corner, also needing an 11. 6 is going to be a miss. So that is the end of the Rebel turn. Let's go ahead and roll for initiative for probably our final round. And it looks like it's going to be the Empire again. Darth Vader gets the first and the only activation for the Empire. I actually misspoke. I forgot that the officer is still alive, but we will nevertheless still start with Darth Vader charging the Mandalorian. Darth Vader hitting on a 2+. Yes, it's a 4, that doing 20 points of damage, bringing Mandalorian down to 20 total. The officer will also join in on the fight. 8+. No, it's a 2, it's a miss. The Rebels are so close at this point. Let's go ahead and take a few more shots and just pile on in. Let's start out here with Luke taking a shot off on that officer. 11+, here we go. And it's an 18, yes, Luke is able to kill the officer, leaving Darth Vader by himself. Alright, things are looking pretty tough here for Darth Vader. We're going to go ahead and activate those 2 pilots and see if we can sprint on past Darth Vader. He'll get attacks of opportunity, but see if we can get past him and get towards that ship and see if we can get that R7 unit out of here. So as the pilot runs past, Darth Vader gets an attack of opportunity. If he rolls anything except for a 1, he will kill that pilot. But that means he has used his reaction for this round, and the second pilot will be able to get by. Let's go ahead and roll off this roll for him. And it's a 19, so that pilot is taken out. And folks, this looks like this will be the last round of the game now, because essentially we're going to have this pilot also running by, but Vader also took his reaction, so he cannot give another attack of opportunity. So this pilot will get past him with the droid. That means that the rest of these Wookiees will pile in here and block the corridor, meaning that Darth Vader cannot go past them unless he kills them first. The rest of these other figurines also will get in the way, giving us enough time for that pilot to get into the TIE Fighter and take off with the R7. Let's just show you how that will all look when we play it out. So by the end of this round, you see how Darth Vader is entirely tied up in combat by the Mandalorian, 2 Wookiees, Luke Skywalker. There's another Wookiee, and there's a rebel fighter behind them waiting to jump in should the lines fall. And meanwhile, we have the rebel pilot getting in the TIE fighter with R7 and taking off to safety. Well, there you have it, folks. The conclusion of our scenario that we have called Droid Extraction. The Rebels did a fantastic job of using the particular corridors and spaces of this Star Destroyer bay in order to hold Darth Vader in place so that he was not able to use all of his powers, meanwhile picking off all of those stormtroopers and thus allowing for the rebel pilot to make his way to the ship with R7 and to successfully escape the Star Destroyer with the secret plans. Well, thank you very much for joining us here at Grey Army Gaming for this scenario from Star Wars Miniatures, for the future of gaming.